Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ghost Protocol. Farden here. If you like our video, please leave a like and comment. Subscribe to stay connected with us, and we will continue to publish videos. Welcome back everyone, I am Farden. I hope you are all doing well. I am doing well too. I am moving on to a new story now, and I will read it out exactly as it has been written. Brother Farden, assalamu alaikum. I hope you and the entire Ghost Protocol team are doing well by the grace of Allah. The story I am sharing with you today is not about anyone else. It is a truly terrifying real-life experience of my own. My name is Salesh. For the sake of safety, I am withholding my real name and the name of my village. Our village is one of the largest in Kapasha, an upazila in the Gazipur district. The incident I am about to recount took place 5 years ago, back in 2021, when I was a 9th grade student. Everyone likely remembers that period during the pandemic. Rural homes often share a common characteristic. The houses of relatives are situated very close to one another. My situation was no different. My grandfather's house was not far from ours. It took at most 2 minutes to walk there. However, the 2-minute walk required passing by 2 small old graveyards. It was a dark evening. I was heading from our house towards my grandparents' place. The surroundings felt unusually still. As I walked, my eyes were suddenly drawn to the roof of a new half-finished house by the roadside. Amidst the pitch darkness, I spotted a jet-black shadow sitting at the edge of the roof. From a distance, the figure looked exactly like a dog. It is worth mentioning, I have a pet dog of my own named Rocky. I thought it might be my Rocky, somehow sitting up there on the roof. I called out to it quite casually. There was no movement from Rocky. The silhouette remained perfectly still. Then, I called out again, a bit more loudly. Just at that moment, my entire body seemed to freeze. As soon as it heard the call, that dark figure slowly turned its head from the roof and stared straight at me. And then I saw 2 distinct, vivid red eyes glowing in the pitch darkness, a jet black body, and those blood red eyes staring straight at me. In an instant, I felt as though a massive, heavy stone had been pressed down upon me. It was a strange, hypnotic spell. Trembling with sheer terror, I picked up a stone from the ground and hurled it at that shadowy figure. I realize now, that was the biggest mistake of my life. The moment the stone flew off, that dark figure on the roof suddenly swelled into a massive shape. Its body seemed to double in size in an instant, and it leapt straight from the roof onto me. Do you know what was the most terrifying part? My entire body had become paralyzed the moment I looked into those red eyes. I had lost the ability to move even an inch, yet, just before it could land on me, it vanished somewhere into the darkness of the air. But immediately I felt a splitting pain in my head. It felt as though someone had struck me hard with a solid iron rod. The pain was so intense, it felt as if my eyes would burst. Yet, strangely, there was no blood. I sank to the ground, the eyes shut tight against the agony. The very next moment, I opened my eyes. Standing right in front of me was a stark white figure resembling a woman clad in white. I was in intense pain all over my body. Somehow, summoning all my strength, I stood up, turned around, and ran straight toward my grandfather's house. Upon my arrival, seeing my condition, grandfather asked what had happened and why I was trembling so violently. I was gripped by sheer terror. So, avoiding the whole issue, I simply said, "Oh, nothing, it's nothing." I then sat at the dining table on the outer veranda and tried to read a book to compose myself, but I couldn't focus at all. The atmosphere around me felt an intense, heavy sense of unease weighed upon my mind. Unable to hold back any longer, I pushed the balcony curtain aside and looked once more toward the roof of that new house. It was still sitting there, but a strange shift had occurred. I no longer felt any fear. Instead, I was consumed by an overwhelming curiosity. I longed to know what it actually was, how it had arrived there, and why some unseen, otherworldly force was drawing me toward it. I felt an urge to rush out of the room and run straight to that roof. At that very moment, my grandfather came up from behind and gripped my hand tightly. He was a deeply devout and pious man. Perhaps by looking into my eyes, he realized that something terrible was happening to me. He immediately took me inside the room, held me firmly, and began reciting Ayatul Kursi aloud while blowing over me. Then, speaking sternly, Grandfather said, "Tell me the truth. What happened to you?" Dadu's words gave me a bit of courage. In a trembling voice, I began to explain. "Dadu, on my way here I saw something, a black shape, on the roof of the house. It was black with red eyes and..." I couldn't finish my sentence. Suddenly, an excruciating pain shot through my head again, and I saw that white figure standing right in front of me, gripping my throat with both hands. I couldn't say a word. Seeing my condition, Dadu didn't waste another moment. He quickly began reciting prayers aloud. He began blowing gently over my chest and head. Thanks to the power of Dadu's prayers, the tightness in my throat gradually eased, and I calmed down a little. When Dadu and the ants in the house asked me again, I didn't dare tell the truth. Gripped by intense fear, I withheld a great deal, claiming that was all that had happened and nothing else, though in reality I was concealing much out of sheer terror. I spent the rest of that night at Dadu's house with them in a state of extreme panic. After waking up the next morning observing my condition, Grandpa took me to a renowned huzur in Kapasia to obtain blessed water panipora. The moment I arrived, the way he looked at me, combined with his worried expression, made it immediately clear that he had sensed something supernatural. Regrettably, however, he did not offer any direct warning or explicit explanation at the time. Instead, he simply drew me close, recited a prayer, and blew gently over me. Then, taking the water bottle from my hand, he went inside, filled it with water, and returned, instructing me to mix this water with my drinking water and to use it while bathing. I proceeded to follow his instructions. Before leaving, he shared certain confidential details and guidelines with me, matters I cannot disclose here due to his prohibition. However, they essentially amounted to ways of leading a normal life amidst this situation. Thanks to the guidelines provided by Huzur, I didn't face any major issues from December 2021 through the month of Ramadan in 2022. Everything was proceeding normally. However, that peace was short-lived. On the evening of Chandrat, the night before Eid, my nephew Pial, who is a year younger than me, and I went out towards the tech area where there is some jungle. As we were returning after finishing our task, suddenly a very intense, sweet fragrance of Arabian jasmine, belly flowers, wafted to me. Amidst the heavy, still air of the surroundings, the scent felt somehow unnatural. I asked Pial, "Hey, can you smell any flowers?" Pial replied in surprise, "No, I don't smell anything." "What do you mean? Where would the scent of flowers come from in this jungle?" I wondered if it was just a figment of my imagination, but the very next moment I noticed something. Like the broad ankle of a white sari flash before my eyes and vanish into the depths of the jungle. I peered closely and saw someone sitting near the edge of the forest, dressed in a white sari. I instantly realized it was the same figure as before, staring fixedly at me. Yet strangely, I felt no fear. I called out to Pial, "Look, Pial, there's something white over there staring at us." At first, Pial looked but couldn't see anything. So, I took his hand and pointed my finger directly at the figure. The moment I signaled, Pial screamed in terror. "Run!" he shouted and bolted from the spot. I, however, could not flee even if I wanted to. My feet seemed rooted to the ground, and I was powerless to move even an inch. Just then, I noticed two pitch-black figures rushing at high speed past me toward that white shape. What I witnessed next was a scene of pure hell. The two black figures seized the white one with their claws and began mauling it with savage ferocity. Suddenly, the raucous cries of hundreds of birds erupted across the entire forest. It was as if nature itself were screaming. I slowly began to lose consciousness. Everything around me was blurring. Before my eyes, I saw those dark shapes tearing into the white figure until it vanished completely into thin air. Then they turned and fixed their gaze directly on me. It seemed as though they were making terrifying gestures or signals at me with their mouths. At that critical moment, one of my uncles, whose house was right next to the forest, suddenly as he passed by, he shone his light on me. The intensity of the beam snapped me back to reality. Surprised to see me standing there all alone, he asked, "What are you doing here?" I was about to tell him the truth. But just then, a huge, snow-white pigeon flew right past my eyes. It felt as if someone had clamped a hand over my mouth. I couldn't say another word. Somehow gathering myself, I managed to say, "I came with Peel. He has left." I was standing right there. Kata took me home. Once there, I witnessed a bizarre scene. Everyone in the house was laughing and making fun of me. It turned out the Pial had already run ahead and told everyone everything, claiming I had seen a woman in a white sari in the woods. It hurt the most when everyone started trolling me. "So, you see things in white, do you?" they would ask, bursting into laughter. Yet I couldn't convey the indescribable state of mind I was experiencing to anyone. To hide the fear and panic within me, I was compelled to laugh along with them. Even now, in 2026, they make fun of this whenever they get the chance. To this day, I haven't told any of them the whole truth, because a stark reality was etched in my mind. Revealing the deeper details of the incident would lead to catastrophic consequences. At that time, only one thought occupied my mind. To escape this curse, I would need the help of a truly great and powerful Huzur, spiritual healer, when everyone at my uncle's house. As they were laughing about it, I made a drastic decision. The Kapasi and the Huzur's blessed water were no longer working. I needed someone far more powerful. Yet I was ignorant of the rules governing that supernatural realm. I did not realize that once a connection with certain forces is established, even an inadvertent misstep can exact a lifelong price. And that was precisely the mistake I made in mid-2022. It was sweltering hot at the time. Then one day I suddenly fell gravely ill. My entire body was burning with a high fever. That familiar, excruciating headache flared up in my head once again. I woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. The moment I woke, I realized I couldn't move even an inch. I was gripped by severe sleep paralysis. My whole body was locked. Only my eyes were open. Just then, the familiar, intense, sweet fragrance of belief flowers, Arabian jasmine, wafted through the room. My gaze shifted toward the window. In the faint moonlight, I saw that stark white figure standing just outside. But this time, her appearance was neither calm nor beautiful. Her white sari was tattered, and right behind her, emerging from the darkness, was that a pitch-black figure with glowing red eyes. That woman in white was pleading with me for her life, begging to be saved. Whether in the throes of a high fever or under some strange spell, I still do not know. I opened the door to my room. She had asked me for shelter. That was the greatest mistake of my life. I did not know then that helping an unseen force in this world meant inviting it into one's own, granting permission for life to enter my own body. The moment I uttered those words in my mind, the two dark figures vanished into the darkness with a silent, harrowing scream. Meanwhile, the white figure passed right through the closed window and entered my room, slowly dissolving into the wall before my very eyes. In an instant, the numbness in my body vanished, and I began to breathe heavily. I wondered if it had merely been a terrifying nightmare or hallucination brought on by a fever. But no, the true hell of my life began the very next morning. Ever since finding shelter in my room, that presence never left me alone for even a single moment. At first, I thought it was all in my head, but gradually, that presence began to intrude upon my actual reality. And whenever I sat down to study intently or became deeply engrossed in thoughts about my career or future, the intense fragrance of jasmine would suddenly fill the entire room. The air would turn ice cold, and I can clearly sense someone standing right behind me. At times, it feels as though an invisible cold hand is gently stroking my hair and back. It is not a pleasant sensation. Rather, it is a form of utterly suffocating psychological torture. The most terrifying moments occur when I try to sleep at night. Whenever I close my eyes, I feel as if someone is kneeling on the floor right beside my bed, staring directly into my face. I am too terrified to open my eyes, yet even with them closed, my heart feels like it is bursting with sheer terror. He has built a wall around me. He doesn't want me to have a normal relationship with my family or hang out with friends. Whenever I try to return to a normal life, he somehow brings back that excruciating pain in my head, like a blow from a heavy iron rod. It feels as though he wants to isolate me completely from the world I know and imprison me in his own cage. The atmosphere around the house changes drastically, especially as evening falls. Everything takes on an eerie, unsettling quality. It is a strangely suffocating feeling. I simply cannot stay at home after dusk. That is when the harrowing tales begin. It feels like a punishment for some sin slowly destroying me bit by bit. That is why I put on my earphones and listen to music in the evening. I cannot bear to be indoors after sunset. Every evening when I step out, I notice a large white pigeon flying overhead. Wherever I go, I spot the bird every now and then. Eventually, the pigeon becomes my constant companion. Why does he want to come? I don't know. It's 2026 now. These events keep happening to me, but not like before. Now, sometimes they come in my dreams at night. Whenever they come in my dreams, I feel suffocated. My breathing stops. My family members dismiss these situations as just bad shadows or mistakes, and I can't make them believe that they are true. I don't even have that courage. I still sometimes see the white pigeon when I go out at night, but now I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not scared anymore. When people are afraid, when something becomes intertwined with one's life, it turns into a habit. My case is no exception. A while ago, my elder brother, my uncle, and I went to a pond in that area for a swim. The pond was quite large, but since it was summer, the water level was low. Throughout the pond, the water was only thigh deep. Even at the deepest point, it reached only up to my neck. So we all stepped in. My uncle and I were walking together when suddenly my body jerked violently. After 2 long years, that eerie feeling returned. I saw that white-clad figure, the hem of a garment, fluttering past my eyes once more. As I looked in that direction, I witnessed that pigeon tearing apart 4 figures that resembled dark, demonic entities. Then they vanished. Driven by curiosity, I ran over to investigate, but found nothing, only traces of blood. I told my elder brother and uncles everything. They listened and believed me, even joking about it. But ultimately, none of them took the matter seriously. After all that, when everyone stepped into the pond, I followed them in. But as I moved a short distance into the water, I realized I couldn't go any further. The pond was shallow, yet I was unable to advance. I tried to turn back, but I couldn't move in that direction either. They were calling out to me from the middle, "Come here, come here." But I simply couldn't move. Whenever I tried to step forward, it felt as though someone was gripping my legs tightly underwater. And whenever I tried to tell them about it, I would find myself unable to breathe. I began to sink into the water, though it was actually shallow. After struggling against an unseen force underwater for a full 10 minutes, I somehow managed to reach the others. Suddenly I saw that my brother and uncles had brought a large floating foam pad along for swimming. I noticed a dark figure sitting on that foam, chewing on a white pigeon. Yet, none of the people with me could see it. I struggled greatly to reach them, and by the time I did, the figure was gone. I think it was a foam sheet. I climbed onto it. Suddenly, that dark figure lunged at me. With a single violent jerk, it snapped the foam sheet in two and shoved me into the water. The force of the impact sent everyone else flying. The foam sheet broke into 3 pieces. When we regained our footing, we were standing in knee-deep water, while the others were swimming. That was when I noticed those dark, demonic figures perched on top of one of my brothers and 2 of my uncles. They climbed atop them and began grinning at me with a hideous, grotesque laugh. Since it had all started with the throwing of a stone, I decided to end it all by throwing stones as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't let me live. I scooped up mud from the pond and started hurling clods at them, while also employing certain techniques I had learned from Kapashi and Huzur. I kept pelting those 3 with lumps of mud one after another. After a while, I saw that 2 of the figures had vanished. There was only a massive figure charging ferociously towards me. Later, I climbed up the pond's bank. Standing there and facing west, I gathered all my courage and began pelting clods of hard earth, one after another, into the distance. Then everything miraculously calmed down. The pond grew still, and the darkness lifted from the sky. All that remained was the intense fragrance of jasmine lingering in the air. It has been 11 days now. Neither the nightmares nor that white pigeon appear anymore. Yet, every now and then, that familiar scent of jasmine suddenly wafts to me. It feels as though someone is watching me from the void. However, that suffocating terror is no longer there. This is the true story of my 5-year-long living hell and my supernatural battle. This is not a work of fiction. It is the story of every scar in my life. With these words, he concluded the story. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do let me know if you did. Thank you all so much for watching until the end. I will see you again with a new story. Until then, take care of yourselves and your families. Goodbye.